Gnosticism at its root, ancient or modern, and we profess to be modern Gnostics, not ancient Gnostics. But at its root, it's your own self-connection with the divine, and that truth comes through you, through your inner life, not from something imposed without by religious authority or sacred text.
Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network, where curiosity meets conversation. Get enlightened and have fun. Share the experience with friends, family, and anyone ready for thought-provoking dialogue. You can watch our shows on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, or connect with us on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts are also available on Libsyn, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other major platforms. Be sure to visit our official website at ConsciousRadioNetwork.com for past episodes, upcoming shows, and guest scheduling. And to our listeners around the cosmos, welcome. We're glad you're here. Subscribe, follow, and join the community.
Good day, everybody, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth, where together we explore the mysteries of consciousness, spirituality, metaphysics, and the unknown. You're joining us for the first time. Welcome. Please support our independent media by liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. And wherever you listen to your podcasts, be sure to follow us so you'll never miss an episode. Now settle in and let's begin.
Conscious Radio Network.
Today, the Gnostic Rebellion and the hidden spiritual truth. We're going to be stepping into the world of Gnosticism, an ancient path that continues to challenge conventional religion and invite deeper spiritual inquiry. Joining me today is Paul Joseph Rovelli, founder of the Gnostic Church of L.V.X, where we're going to explore what the Gnostic Rebellion really means, why these teachings still matter, and what they reveal about truth, consciousness, and the seeker's journey. Let's welcome to the Séance, Paul Joseph Rovelli. Welcome, Joseph. Welcome, Paul. Welcome, Rovelli. My first name's Paul, and I'm like, my mind's going. And
it's easier if it's easier. Call me PJ. A lot of people do. Otherwise, Paul will go at it.
Awesome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
You're welcome.
How can I talk too much?
So to clear the air a little bit, let's educate for the layman out there what the Gnostic or what Gnosticism is.
Okay. Gnosticism at its root, ancient or modern, and we profess to be modern Gnostics, not ancient Gnostics. But at its root, it's your own self-connection with the divine, and that truth comes through you, through your inner life, not from something imposed without by religious authority or sacred text.
Yep. It seems to be a growing. I'm hearing a lot of it more is to move inward. The truth is from within. The heavens are from within. Everything is from within. And it's for centuries, if not longer than that. We've been seeking for answers from outside, from authority, from
a savior.
Yeah.
Somebody is always going to save us. And that idea ultimately came and created a problem for the Gnostics, because as some of them dwelled into the savior idea, others rejected it only in that they were creating a god that could be killed. And so what I find with the neo-Gnostics today, and they're not practicing a new Gnosticism, they're trying to resurrect an old carcass. And they're really putting today's Christian ideas on top of that carcass. And so it's a neo-Gnosticism.
Yeah.
The demiurge is just another name for Satan. The archons are just another name for his legions. And this idea of an evil against a good, or a evil world against a good, better world that's somewhere else after you're dead, that they know by special messenger who's come down from above. See, it's written in these documents.
Yeah. Yeah. Most people have heard of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Are the Dead Sea Scrolls a form of Gnostic text?
I think a lot of original text, no matter where it's from, a lot of religious text starts out as quite Gnostic. The issue really becomes a question of time and culture.
Mm.
As those things progress forward and our understanding of science changes.
Yeah.
I think the pre-Socratic philosophers would be excuse me. I think the pre-Socratic philosophers would be confounded with what we know about the universe today and what we understand in subatomic physics and moving in outer space and what these stars really are. When we put all of that together, we realize that what is inner is reflected in the outer. Certainly, the outer universe is a reflection of our collective thought. But each our own thought is individual. If we can come to that, I think that's what modern Gnosticism really supposes. It asks, are you fully human yet? Are you thinking on your own terms? Because if so, that thought's coming from within you.
Yeah.
But if not, then you're being seduced by the demands of the outer world. And the outer world is what it is. It's something we all need so that we have health of body and soundness of mind and the ability to evolve and stay free of the tyranny of nature.
Yeah. Yeah. And ultimately, yeah, we're all, when you, because look at it in different ways, is, yeah, individually we are all on our very own specific path in life. But then at the same time, there's this collective consciousness. There's this divineness of within us and outside of us. But then something happened in the past where the authorities, there's always, somebody always wants to, someone, something, some entity always wants to have some sort of control and just try to change something. For instance, thousands of years. Look how many books out there. Look how many holy books, holy scriptures and stuff that it just seemed to change a little bit here and there. Things that no longer exist. Wording has changed. How do we really know that particular verse in the Bible is what it originally said?
We can't even read a lot of that in context.
Man.
They say superstition is following things like this without understanding their origins, without remembering what they're really about. So that's where the problem really gets. People think they understand the apparent and obvious meanings of these things, but they don't realize that they're translating it into the language of this time.
Yeah.
And Coca-Cola today means something way different than it meant in 1910.
Yeah.
Think about that. Okay. Yeah. Imagine putting 2,000 or 3,000 years in that. So
yeah.
We have to ask them, what does modern science tell us? What does the metaphysical development in the West, how has that progress said something new or carried a line or said something different or said something old or re-expressed and affirmed something else? And this is where no one seems to ever go. More importantly, if I don't know who I am, how can I make a judgment of you?
Yeah.
Because I don't know who I'm relating that to. If I know who I am, then I know who I'm relating you to. If I don't know who I am, then who am I relating you to? Some blind ideal that I have of what you are supposed to be in this moment at this time, and maybe you're supposed to be something else in another moment because I feel better.
Yeah.
the, we have to get to that. And we can go to an old Gnostic document, the very popular and well-known Gospel of Thomas, where Jesus says, know yourself. When you come to know yourself, then you will come to a knowledge of the breadth and depth of the all.
Yeah.
So if you want to know everything, know yourself. If you don't bother to know yourself, what possible right could you think you might possibly have, or ability might you have to know the knowledge and breadth and depth of the all? How dare you, you little smidgen of smudgeon?
You're right. It seems too, I view things in a very philosophical way. I look at things outside the box, and it's just, I think too much. And being in the work that I do is, and then with discussions I have with other people who also notice the same things, is like you were just announcing, is having the ability, especially in the beginning of your life, the first 20 years of your life, is getting to know who you are. Like, who am I? What am I good at? What are my talents? What are my gifts? What can I share with society, with fellow human being? But it seems like we've been hijacked. It seems like there's an opposing force out there that's trying to prevent us from understanding who we are.
And this is a very classical ancient Gnostic viewpoint that the neo-Gnostics also jump on. That there's some force out there stopping you from being who and what you truly are. They're the archons, and we've got to protect ourselves from them. Everybody's got to wear their aluminum hats.
Yeah.
Okay? And yes, there is a force out there. We can say that. But that force is the collective force of everybody else's mindlessness. Everybody desperately trying to get to work this morning, desperately trying to get laid on Saturday night, desperately trying to get the Christmas gifts for the kids, desperately trying to figure out how to put money together for a new car, how to fix the flat tire. And the world is pulling us there. And the world is saying, don't practice the piano. You'll never get a good wife like that. Become an accountant. You'll have a nice house, a beautiful wife, kids that are well behaved. And you will, or you may. But you'll surrender your soul for having done so. And a lot of people don't figure that out until way too late. And I don't mean by surrendering your soul as to some place of torture and you're going to hell. You have to create your soul. So if you spend your time creating the life the world expects of you, then you're not creating what inspires you from within. As Joseph Campbell would say, you're not following your bliss. You're not doing what you always wanted to do, what you were naturally inclined to do from the time you were young.
Yeah.
What you would sharpen maybe into more sophisticated tools as an adult, but it always came from some stream. And so it is, though, for the world to do that. They're the ones who run the electric plant, who pick up the garbage, who man the cash register at the hardware store. They deliver the milk. They merchandise the shelves. They get us all the interaction we want as a society that means I don't have to do all those things and make all those things myself. So we build a culture. And so they're very important. The few of us that would pick up out of that, the pneumatic, these people tune to a higher frequency. The Hylic and I forget what the middle one's called, the Hermit Lover, Man of Earth, but the Hylics is certainly the lowest among us. They are the people that run the world.
Yeah.
And they're not to be denounced, but the Gnostic perspective is not about their perspective. Their perspective is they're looking for somebody out there to take care of it. They really don't got time. Father, bless me, for I have sinned. Here's a couple of dollars. Now get me the out of this problem, will you? That's where they're at. A little bit like the Chinese. If their gods failed them, they just fired them and got new gods.
Yeah.
The Gnostic is about self-responsibility. Lives in a world where we do have some freedom from the tyranny of nature and the chance to advance our creative, intellectual, and emotional faculties. That we can grow in something more than what even we might be required to do out in the world. You know what I'm saying? I might be the auto mechanic or the company janitor during the day and not running JCPL. And yet when I get home in the evening, I have the time in my life and the freedom to move my thought to a higher place and live that avocation.
Yeah.
And maybe it becomes a vocation at some point for some of those of us that might be even more successful in that regard. But it's not a measure of success.
Yeah. Yeah. You touched on it just a little bit, or at least you said we brought the word hell into the equation a little bit. Is, according to the Gnostics, what is hell compared to what we've been traditionally believed that it was to look like?
The modern or the ancient?
The ancient.
Okay. If we're going to look at the ancient Gnostics, they had no concept of that. At best, they had a concept of Hades, which was an underworld where both the good and the bad went to, where mortal beings went when they died, assuming proper burial.
Yeah. Yeah.
By today's standards, it's a sick joke. It's a waste of time either way. It's a superstitious way of leading the adult back to the boogeyman.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's under your bed. Quick. Get
There was no help to William Blake, the writer William Blake, who portrayed hell as this underground, cavernous hell burning. It's.
But I think if you really got into Blake, because he did heaven and hell,
yeah.
He did the darkness and the light. But I think really for Blake, these were psychic images. I think he understood that heaven is inside your own head and so's hell. I can create a hell out of what looks like a heaven at first and a heaven out of what looks like a hell at first.
Yeah.
It depends on our perspective in things and how we are in our own sense of selves, how we are aware of that. Because I think every last one of us really wants to do the right thing. The question is, what affects our sensibilities that one thing becomes right for one and wrong for another? Mm-hmm. And then that misunderstanding happens, right? Yeah. I don't know how to answer that. I don't want to say that it's so relative. That I don't want to eat the rotten cheese, but it's okay for the dog. You know what I'm saying? For the dog, it's a good thing. Really tasty. Let's go for it. And so that kind of relativity is okay for some, but I'm not so much interested in the relativity as in our own perception and valuations. The way you evaluate something. The Yankees' favorite announcer my favorite announcer for the Yankees, the TV guy, Michael Kay, cannot stand condiments. They all make fun of him. He won't put ketchup on French fries. He won't put it on a hamburger. He won't put mustard on a hot dog. No pickle relish, please. Thank you. And so for him, the relish is a really bad thing. For most of the rest of us, the relish is really good.
Yeah.
Who's to put value on that? And that's more important, because the fact that it's bad for him doesn't in any way make him or it evil for the rest of us to have that opinion. So that's where I think the relativity kind of fails.
Yeah.
But he had a valuation, or has a valuation, and you or I may have a similar or a different valuation, and maybe we could do a little validating by punching each other in the shoulder and say, "Oh, owe me a Coke." We both feel the same way about that.
Yeah.
But really, these are just valuations, and I think we have to recognize that as such, and stop telling each other that my valuations are nicer than your valuations, so I need to kill you and your kin. Stop dying and killing for God.
Yeah. Yeah. And value everybody's thought process, anybody else's criticism. A lot of people take criticism very poorly. It's war. All out war.
Yeah.
I take criticism as an educational moment. I'm going, okay, let me listen. And then
But I think also most people don't know how to create a sense of constructive criticism, and they don't have a proper idea of what constructive criticism is. There's so much a difference between, I think if you just talk nicer to girls, you'd have a little bit easier time getting a date for the prom.
Right.
Instead of saying, "What, you ever want to talk nice to them? You crazy?"
Yeah.
So there is that. But yes, especially in the jailhouse mentality that is social media, people don't know how to take criticism to give themselves a chance to do better, to be stronger, or to even recognize a failure in the other person's part as a personality. I like to give an extreme example. If you walk into a bar, and as you walk in, you buy a drink, and a 4-year-old girl happens to walk up to you and says, "I think you're pretty ugly. Get out of my way, kid. You bother me." You walk around the corner with your drink to the pretty blonde sitting in the corner, and she says, "I think you're ugly." And you're going home staring at the mirror, trying to think, do you need to wear better clothes? Should you get a new haircut?
Yeah.
There is who's giving you the criticism, and we assume the person giving that is a person who's just like us on the other end.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a 65-year-old guy. I don't really think that everybody I'm talking to is 65 years old, or necessarily a guy, or necessarily human.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially nowadays.
There's a lot of zombies out there, right?
Yeah.
We have to get past the ego that we bring to the criticism the other gives. When the other gives me that criticism, I'm ego burnt. Now I have to prove my honor. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I'm smarter than that. I'm more accurate than that. I didn't really say that. I meant that. How dare you impugn my integrity? How dare you think that I would have taken the 5 cents off the cashier drawer?
Yeah.
So people got to get past the ego. It's the same way with driving. Just because the other guy was so mindless and cut you off, he really doesn't know you exist.
Yeah.
So stop being so angry at him.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get into the Gnostic Church of Light. How you founded it, what is it, where is it, and how can people find it?
The first fully owned and operating Gnostic church on the continents of the Americas. 8 Factory Hill Road, Hoosick Falls, New York, 12090. We're right near the town of Bennington, Vermont, to give you an idea where we are in upstate New York, which is southern Vermont, near the Massachusetts border. So there's a tri-state kind of thing going on here.
All right.
We take pride in both being a modern Gnostic church, in that we're not selling you archons and demiurges and all kinds of other fear-mongering. This world is terrible. There's a better place beyond this. Trust me. I know, even though I'm not dead yet either. Okay? The document says so. But the document says the ark of the angels of light came down from heaven and told us the Savior said this years ago, and everybody forgot about it. But here it is. We remember it now. That's not how it happened at all. What really happened is a long story. But here we are, and we have this Gnostic church. We have this idea where I've come in and said this. You're in your 20s, maybe late 20s, early 30s. The first baby or two is either just coming out the oven or been out for a little while, and you're seeking to get your family into some spiritual kind of thing. You go to church, and just about walking in, they practically flat out remind you that because you and your wife were all sorts of different people in the back seats of cars once upon a time, that you all have committed the cardinal sin against God and you're forever damned to hell. So keep praying that you don't get your kids over the same way and keep them from having sex. And you walk out of there realizing that you didn't get any spiritual instruction to anybody, and you just walked out feeling filthy. Like you just had to do an oil change on some stranger's car in your best clothes. And so we want to build this place where you can take your family and recharge the batteries. We have a once a monthly service, and it's in-house and online. You can just be a member by getting our monthly rebroadcast of the Mass. And you get a chance to go through this, create the Eucharist in your own way, or attend in-house and enjoy our Eucharist, and recharge your batteries from what the world's going to do to you the rest of the month. Don't do that. Can't you read the sign? Get that project in. Hurry up, get that done. This is due about 3 days before yesterday, so come on, get it done. And a place for the other rites of passage that would befit you and your kids in a way that's more morally true. We're not preaching a fear of hell or a promise of heaven. We're telling you that we're going to find a way for you to find your own genius, and we want you to find a way for us to find our own genius, and we've found our own genius to some degree, and you found your own genius to some degree, because we're all living lives. And where that creativity is, I'm going to inspire you by my own effort, and you'll inspire me by yours. And we'll talk about spiritual inspiration and what that is. And we do deal with holy books and philosophical thoughts and ideas, but they come out for those who come out not in an official capacity, much like we don't tell you what morals to have, only that you must determine those for yourself, and it's your responsibility to do so.
There might be some out there that are looking for that direction, like spiritual direction, trying to find themselves. Now, when it comes to Gnosticism, would you say it's a direction more towards spirituality, or in the middle of the road, aside from an ideology?
Far from an ideology, but we can build in aphorisms that you might call ideological components. In other words, we can come to accept certain common things, but then I would likely say that maybe in some other region or some other place or time, someone else might not build that in. For example, in the ancient world, the Docetists were those who believed that there's no way a god could be crucified, could be in any way tortured. And so they either believed that Jesus never appeared in body, or that wasn't the actual Jesus there, or Jesus was really above the cross laughing. They tortured some body, but not the spirit of Jesus. That was really in that part of the world that was Egyptian, Arabic, that whole world there.
Yeah.
And they would become the Muslims today. God is God. You don't hang him on a piece of wood, right?
Yeah.
Now, the other Christians who were not Docetists saw Jesus as very real and having suffered, but some argued that he then died. He was just a messenger, and others created him into a divine image. And so you had all these different sects with these different ideas. But I think what gets lost to the modern mind, of course, is that these were portraying different mythological stories then. Jesus didn't necessarily have to be a real and actual person to all, some, or most of them. Okay? Because certainly, for example, the Valentinians, you had to get to certain levels of purity to get to certain levels of consciousness, where you perceived the divine in a higher space. Okay? For the Sethians, it was a bloodline more than anything else in a lot of ways that you then tuned into. And you saw more a Kabbalistic conception of an ontology of where spiritually, how you spiritually evolved.
Yeah.
So many other different types that, God was simply the master magician, Jesus was the master magician, all these other things. The idea of the logos was very present in ancient culture, but not the logos you read about in John. There were all sorts of logoi. Dionysus was a logos. Zeus was the father and the earth was the mother, parthenogenesis. These children born of that union were logoi. These were those that had a partial connection with the god, usually Zeus, with the god. And because they had a partial connection with the god, either they had extra superpowers, divine insight, or whatever. They were Hercules, they were Dionysus, who could teach you how to transform yourself, and blah, blah, blah. These concepts built into, I think, more sophisticated ideas over time. As we move through the German idealists into the Elizabethan age, and we get to different ideas on what gnosis could be and why that's significant, and how that and the Western mystery tradition are really the same thing. So we go to the Rosicrucians and we build through them into a philosophical system, because that's indeed what Gnosticism was, a philosophical system. Now, again, just like I stated earlier, we're building that into the science we have in our time, our understanding of the world and the universe around us, which is so different than those pre-Socratic, because their atom was the monad, was the one. And they're right in a certain sense, but there's not 107 monads for 107 elements, or whatever the number of elements is. I really guessed for 107, just to let you know.
There's been, everybody, when we talk about, or we bring up the creation story, or the original creation story, I'll go back even further to the Enuma Elish. But when it comes to creation, when it comes to the very first, the beginnings of time, even some of the stories of the Elohim and the Watchers or the Nephilim, What are your thoughts on that storyline? Because when I saw,
let me answer that, but let me answer that obliquely from the side.
yeah,
Uh, think back to your earliest memories in life. Whether you were 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, as soon as those memories started popping in and started becoming more regular, life was already in progress. It was already moving. So, can you really point to a beginning of your own life?
not really.
Yeah. Even as a fetus, and I'm not making an argument one way or the other for abortion, and I'm really very pro abortion, by the way. But even as a fetus, the cells are already pointing to each their specialty as they began duplicating and replicating and all that kind of stuff. They started to specialize very quickly. So there seems to be some dynamic force already at work before even the body goes. And we can blame that on the DNA or the DNA and the RNA or the mitochondrial DNA or however you want to look at that. We can get into all sorts of scientific structures and philosophical theories built on that as well. And why I was using that as is that I wanted to demonstrate before I tried to say, what if there never really was a beginning?
Yeah.
What if the beginning plane doesn't exist? While your particular origination, if we describe your being, we can get a little speculative and say you're a spark of God, and that spark took on substance, and mommy and daddy had a really good night, and you know what I'm saying, and daddy finally made something happen. And that there, without a beginning, we see the problem of searching after truth, because truth is the true God that is the actual beginning, the causeless cause. And if God's the causeless cause, then you and I are dependent beings upon that God, because without that God, you and I would not exist.
Yeah.
But if we are not dependent beings, but completely independent beings, gods ourselves, God of very God, that's a whole different experience, because then we create ourselves. Our ontology we can speculate on. But Paul Joseph Rovelli is Paul Joseph Rovelli, and it's my own damn fault. Okay?
Yeah.
And that's an entire different perception of reality, and that we call a modern Gnostic perception. How do I believe in God? No, absolutely not. Especially that stupid oaf up in the sky sitting on a throne that needs things floating around it all day going, you're wonderful, you're marvelous, you're wonderful, you're marvelous. And everybody's got to make sure that they kiss his ass, especially on Sundays. Please let me kiss your ass. Please bend over, let me kiss your ass. I'm saying, and he always needs money. He can't seem to spend it that well. I took that from George Carlin. I was trying to say it just the way he says it. And he always needs money.
Yeah.
But rather that you are that God, you are responsible for your life. Now you're sharing that life with a whole universe that you're responsible for all your around you. But you're really co-responsible for everything, as everything is co-responsible for you. But only in so much as you become you and you have that responsibility to be you. Because if you're nothing, then the rest of the universe is just going to swipe on you. You know what I'm saying? Become garbage in the refuse. But if you become something, if you've taken the mantle of that responsibility, grabbed the bull by the horns and decided to become, that's acting like a god.
Yeah.
That's being divine. So I don't believe in God. I am God, and that's how I know God. If I don't believe in my wife, I see her every day in all states of being, by the way. Okay, I know my dog. I know my house. If I didn't know my house, I would have to believe in my house. I have a home somewhere.
Yeah.
I have a wife. Someone's my wife. I don't know. But maybe this book will tell me which one. Right?
Yeah.
So Gnosis is knowledge of the divine, and you will find out that the divine is you. Our church is our sanctuary where we build that spiritual energy that all of us once a month can come into and partake of communally, where we have a place to bring our families to that's rational and is not getting you to believe in some place that somebody invented some time back and is the very art of superstition. We don't practice superstition. Why would you believe in such a place? The good one or the bad one, the up or the down. Meet you at the bar. Give you the Irish blessing. May you be in heaven half an hour before the devil knows you're dead.
Yeah.
This lunacy is infecting our society and destroying it. And we're moving to a place, I think, in the near enough future where the possibility is that many people will not have to work that had to work before. Maybe it's about time we create a place where they can build their minds and create souls for themselves and put meaning in their lives, that we might create a better future for those who would be of us. We're not going to save the world. We're not going to try. Just for those who would be of us.
Yeah. Before I close the show, I always ask our guests for a profound takeaway that they like to offer our audience, words of wisdom.
When spirit has left the temple, morality rushes in to fill the void.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep us posted on the church. We're based in Florida. I've got a lot of people up in New York, a lot of people up in the New England area.
We're outside Albany,
just
on the tip of New England.
Cool.
Where all the great American religions that were created here started, where the Theosophists and American Transcendentalists and
even the spiritualists,
even the Mormons, and even the fundamentalists that are the Bible Belt today. Well, that started here.
Yeah. Oof, man. Yeah.
Rich soil.
Very rich soil. Very.
Yeah.
Yeah. I miss the mountains too. Adirondacks, the Poconos.
Every day I get to marvel at them. Every day.
I grew up in the Poconos, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a wonderful place. Probably not like it used to be, but yeah, when they had snow.
I keep joking. I really do want global warming because instead of this being the land of winter, I get beachfront property, and boy, I'm going to put a price on that. I got to tell you that right now.
Right? Yeah. Oof. According to Edgar Casey, I don't know. The map is looking fishy when it comes to
doomsaying. Will always make you a good penny. So if you want to scare the world, start speaking doom and gloom.
Yeah. Apparently, all the politicians are buying oceanfront properties.
Follow them.
Yeah, exactly.
Follow them. They know where it is.
They gotta know something.
Yeah, they gotta know something. They're the inside traders of our world.
There you go. Yep. Paul, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, my friend.
My pleasure, Dr. Reverend.
Thank you. Reverend Doctor, Reverend, Doctor.
Potato.
Tomato.
There you go.
There you go. All right, brother. You have a wonderful.
Thanks very much. It was fun.
You're very welcome. And thank you, everybody, for watching the Séance on Conscious Radio Network. Until then, we'll see you then.